primary Schumer or run for president. Um, I don't know. With MTG as possible MAGA successor, I think AOC explains what's going on here with it with
ideas
MTG.
And pages
though.
of policy, but
This is
did not
TYT
say a single
investigate.
policy plan. She said, I find it unacceptable that Republicans are sitting on the sidelines doing nothing to fix this healthcare disaster that is leading many Americans into financial ruin.
The issues of the subsidies are real. It's not something that anybody can say is made up. Also, people with regular or private plans, their premiums are looking to go up a median of 18%. That's brutal. I know a lot of small business owners, like a family of four, and they're paying $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month with deductibles of $7,000 to $10,000, and approximately 40% of these people don't even use their health insurance. So they're just burning money just in case they might have cancer, or just in case they have a terrible car accident. If you double their health insurance or even triple it, these people they're either going to have to drop it, or they're going to be choosing between rent and their health insurance. As a conservative and as a business owner in the construction industry and as a realist, I can say we have to do something about labor, and that needs to be a smarter plan than just rounding.
She's not going full
every
QAnon. She
single
seems
person.
like and looks more normal. She's still QAnon. They on one of these shows they asked her about the QAnon stuff, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I still believe in that stuff."
And deporting them just like that. All I've seen is a revolving door of foreign leaders in the White House. Have regular people's bank accounts been affected? Has the stress come off?
I retract my statement.
That has not happened yet, and that needs to be the major focus. It shouldn't be about helping your crypto donors or your AI donors or welcoming in these people that hated you and spent money to try to beat you, but all of a sudden are excited to come out to the new Rose Garden patio.
Yes.
That shouldn't be the focus.
Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since.
I do believe.
And so all of this stuff that you're like, oh my God, like, it is all personally motivated. All of this stuff is personally motivated. There is no signs of revelation that I see up close. This is not a person that is backing up anything of what they're saying with any sort of action, which
I think, I agree with what AOC is saying here, but also, like, MTG saw the momentum that Mamdani's running with, right? And she's like, oh, populism wins over the vote. All right, well, if Trump told me no, she smelt the new grift. Exactly, yeah. Like, if Trump told me no, what if I just got really popular instead? What if I, pulled like a Candace Owens, right? Or the MAGA communism guy, whatever it was, Jackson Hinkle, yeah. And got really popular, but still stayed a right winger, and still stayed and believed the old things that I still believe. But also, I said, hey, maybe deporting people is bad. We need those workers. And just going with like the populism thing. The rent's too damn high, prices are too high. Just saying things that that she knows works. In order to gain favor with voters. And then after that, he ran, regardless of what the Trump administration wanted to do.
gives the whole game away. This is a person that is trying to twist the knife on people who frustrated her personal ambition. And until that is the story, and until any one of these little public statements or media statements is actually backed up by a genuine change in policy position, I'm just not going to, and not just a change in policy position, but a commitment to that change.
Right. Exactly.
I'm just not going to buy it. I welcome it. I think it's never too late to change.
I'm jealous of her Mamdani merch.
You know, I just don't buy it. Someone said,
"Oh yeah, the
speaking
communist
out is
paper."
also action, right? Maybe
I like that. The New York
opening
Post.
her eyes a little bit. Maybe it is opening her eyes. Speaking out, I think for everyday people, speaking out is action. But when you are in a position of power like she is, you have to not just talk the talk. You have to walk the walk. And so, if you are an everyday person that's speaking out, it's not to diminish the power of that. But she has a vote in Congress. She has the power to introduce legislation. She has the ability to vote for things and vote against things. And despite all of this hunky-dory stuff that she's doing, her vote record is what speaks for itself. And she consistently votes against healthcare, and she consistently votes on the side of advancing corporations. So don't be fooled, is what I'd say there.
Yeah, I'm not going to be fooled here, for sure. Sheila's Palance here. Who, AOC or MTG? Probably both, huh? Probably. Yeah, but she's a fake. MTG, yeah. She's just faking it, man. She's just faking it for the votes, in my opinion. She has big stock. Yeah, I believe that. You know who else is fake? This guy.
85, 86. Now, if students can do that in 1960, the students can do that in 1970.
Van Jones.
Can do that in 1985.
30 years ago. 32 years ago.
86. In 1993, when we have the United States government built
The guy who was making jokes about dead babies in Gaza.
a death camp,
Just a few weeks ago.
camp for black people who have done nothing wrong but get sick and want justice. That's all they've done wrong. If we can't close that death camp, if this generation cannot prevent
Caravan Jones
another
is
Japanese
based, yeah.
American internment in our lifetime,
Bald Van Jones,
we should all
not
get
so
haircuts
based,
and
yeah.
go get regular jobs and give it up.
I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to
Mamdani's the
people,
character switch.
was not on stage tonight. And there was some other voice on stage.
That's crazy, man. I love Mamdani's speech. Yeah, it was good. Weird how people keep receipts. Yeah. I listened to it 5 times. It wasn't very long, right? Like, what the speech wasn't very long. I think it was like 3 minutes or something like that. Oh, it's like 20 minutes long. Never mind. I saw the shortened version. Yeah. All right. What else I got? Oh, video games. Yeah.
I am saying that the more women who play video games are making video games worse.
Welcome to a special investigation. The women
Idiot.
did it. Today,
The
we
special
venture
edition
into
of
the
Women
mind
Did It.
of the modern gamer, convinced that his downfall and his defeat are the result of one sinister force: women. Armed with excuses and zero self-awareness, our subject enters the battlefield, ready to prove that feminism, not poor positioning, is the real threat to his elo. Here, we join them on the front line, bravely charging into the enemy Emma Frost. Realizing too late they have no support, they try to retreat, but
Where's the heels at?
go down
Oh, that's right, they're
instantly.
dead.
Was this the fault of women? Or perhaps the slightly more obvious culprit?
Oh,
Ignoring the
No
Mr.
peels.
Fantastic, repeatedly bouncing on his support's head in the back line like a deranged pogo stick. The science is unclear. Here he comes again from spawn.
It's called peeling. When you turn around and you go kill the guy that's killing your healers that are trying to keep you alive. That's called peeling. It's important, especially if you have two tanks, which they did right there. One tank can definitely go back and peel. I can tell you, as a dive character player myself, if a tank comes back, especially an anti-dive tank like Emma Frost, goes back and kills the person that's diving on them, that helps a lot. Because I have died many a time.
The cry of legendary echoes as Star-Lord ults. A shield is placed, promising start, and then walks directly into it. Yes, clearly women's fault. If only Lunar Snow hadn't distracted him with existing. In the next round, he smartly shields a Doctor Strange ult, then immediately explodes. Was it women again? Or the small matter of tunnel visioning on a land shark, while Daredevil and Star-Lord
Why are you trying to kill the shark, man?
Into decorative floor stains. A thinker. Tunnel vision returns. He locks onto Jeff the shark again.
Like this little crystal move that they're doing right here. This one where they make a crystal and then they shatter it. You're supposed to do that on tanks. You're not supposed to use that move on like a healer because they don't have as much health, right? So you do it on tanks who have a larger amount of health. And what this does is when you shatter it, it breaks whatever health they have, that maximum amount, it breaks it in half. So if you're trying to do that to somebody that doesn't have a lot of health, you're not really making that big of a difference. You can find other ways to kill them quicker. If you're doing it to a tank, taking half of their health away very quickly is, very efficient. This is just a bad move. This is just a bad player.
Tunnel.
But yeah, I guess blame women. Yeah, blame women.
Vision returns. He locks onto Jeff the shark again before.
I'm sorry if you missed that. This is the guy that was bitching about women over here. This is his gameplay. They went and dug it up. Where this is specifically where he was bitching about like the women that he was playing with.
To Luna, of course. A kaleidoscope of particle effects blinds him as he's deleted once more. Meanwhile, the supports are being bullied by 2 DPS with functioning eyeballs.
Yeah, the support's got Daredevil up their ass, man. Why don't you turn around and kill him?
But yes, women, obviously. Another fight. He bravely holds the front line, even landing a chokeslam on Daredevil before being instantly obliterated. Was it estrogen that did this? Or the Mr. Fantastic cooking his supports 1 inch from his face while he pretends not to notice? We may never know. Final moments now, seconds remain. He approaches the point, the team's last hope, and, oh no, he decides instead to solo ult Star-Lord, who simply
ran away.
flies away. A poetic moment, reaching for something far above him, and it's leaving, just like accountability.
I am saying that the more women who play video games are making video games worse.
Welcome
I do
to
like
a special
this account.
investigation.
This account right here, I don't know who this is, but they make a lot of these types of. This is actually, I think this is the only types of videos that they make. But yeah, I've never heard when playing a video game, somebody, a woman, say, "Oh man, we got a man in the game, we're gonna lose." But I have heard personally guys say that, "Oh man, we got a girl playing on our team, we're gonna lose." I've heard that, and it's just so ignorant, man. But yeah, I was listening to another like a Rivals streamer talk about this too, and they said, if this is the type of content that you're gonna make, you're going to grown men say that, yes, grown men. You're going to attract the same people that agree with you, and you're going to build a toxic community. Like those are going to be the people, especially if you go viral. Those are going to be the types of people that comment on your shit. And you know, it kind of becomes an echo chamber. This is a trippy gif. It'll blow my mind right now. But yeah, there's nothing fun about toxic communities, in my opinion. It's just dumb. But yeah, I like that the community, the Marvel Rivals community, who is known for being somewhat toxic, anti-SJW YouTubers. Yeah, that's really like what he's building here. Annoying, especially for a video game that I play. Very annoying. But yeah, I'm glad to see the Marvel Rivals community and the streamers come together from broad aspects and come down on this dumbass and really kind of point out that, hey, you're just actually a pretty bad player. Maybe go play something else, I guess. All right. Time for a lesson, I guess. What are we learning here?
There were about 20. Did you know that there are about 22 vacant homes for every homeless person in the U.S.?
And private equity firms own hundreds of thousands of single-family homes.
So we don't have a housing shortage problem.
We have a rich people hoarding everything problem.
There is an issue there, yes. It's like, you know, like dragons hoarding
wealthy investors are acquiring property and holding
chests
units
full of
vacant,
gold coins.
so that in many communities, the number of vacant units greatly exceeds the number of unhoused people.
Woker Sesame Street.
There are about 14 million vacant homes. These investors are also buying up a large segment of the short-term rental market, preventing local residents from living in these homes.
Okay, I haven't watched this video yet all the way through, but hey man, those homes are they're in places that people don't live in. So like, well, hold on, people don't live in the homes because they're vacant and they're being held vacant on purpose. But yeah, like
order to cash in on tourism.
And these are not small owners with one unit, but corporate owners with multiple properties. And instead of putting people in these vacant homes, you have people like Gavin Newsom personally raiding encampments and Donald Trump criticizing them.
Both Democrats and Republicans have established ties to and support from the private equity industry. Evil.
Private equity in the housing market creates two things: empty houses and luxury apartments, and tent cities.
And capitalists are doubling down on this future where only 10% of the domestic population is involved in ownership, while the rest of us slave away into oblivion.
We need to stop pretending homelessness is rooted in personal decisions when
there's enough for everybody.
I do agree. I like where they're going with this. This is Seize the Mean Shirts. You might remember them from their previous videos of communism without scary words.
You know what? Maybe all workers do deserve a living wage. I guess I do support every civil rights movement except the current one. This holiday season, pour your family a hot mug of communism without the scary words and spread some holiday cheer. Well, when you put it that way, no one is illegal on stolen land. Oh my God, yeah. Genocide is wrong no matter who does it. Neither party gives a flying about Americans, but blaming your propagandized family and friends only serves a ruling class.
True.
Instead, use your knowledge to get them on board with creating systems of love and support. God, this stuff's good. What's in this stuff? I'll have some more, and let's start a revolution. Oh my God. No, you said it first. No, you know what? You're a crazy ass lib, but I love you. You're the crazy one. Communism without scary words, because no one is coming to save us, so it's our responsibility to organize. Communism without scary words is not sold in stores, but you may acquire it by reading about dialectical or historical materialism.
Huh. Oh yeah, speaking of the Palantir guy, Palantir CEO Alex Karp, what's he doing?
Well, first of all, I feel like I'm much more qualified to critique what was been my own party, although I've historically, Palantir's been the most anti-woke company. And like one of the things it's really crazy when people are like attacking us online and like, you say that now. We've been saying a lot of things that would have gotten you fired or put out of business for 20 years, including meritocracy, borders, use violence to not do neocon bullshit for 20 years and saying it when it wasn't popular. I think almost all of these movements are downstream from the fact that the people who sign up for these things that are like obviously not sensible do not believe they're going to participate in this society economically. And
let's be specific. So anti-Semitism is one of your signature issues.
Actually, honestly, again, that's how people frame it. How about stupid discrimination, of which anti-Semitism is a form?
Okay.
So
stipulate to that. Nick Fuentes is a part of the Republican conservative movement that's getting increasing attention, increasing attention, increasing voice. How concerned are you about that? And what does that tell you?
It's again, you always have to disambiguate concern and do you have a legitimate, like I have a legitimate, I'll answer your question, but I have a completely legitimate, authentic voice in the progressive democratic movement because that's been my whole life. And so I feel like when I'm screaming about that, they really should listen, even if they don't. When, I'm probably just at this point an independent who admires what Trump has done on many things. And I think anybody who's not deranged would.
He's just a disappointed independent who admires what Trump has done.
Acknowledge these things, and sure would I, so I think I don't have the credibility to start throwing a hissy about what happens in the Republican Party.
Sounds very libertarian to me. Yeah, classic American points of view on everything. I'm just I'm in the middle of everything, guys. Everybody's wrong in my opinion. But admires what Trump has done. Tells you exactly where he's standing on things. Anyway, get this dumbass out of here. Give me this dumbass. The reason Trump is blowing up boats
on drugs. But on September 2nd, in the Caribbean Sea, a U.S. military drone found what it was looking for: a 12-meter-long wooden boat. They're commonly used here by fishermen.
They're wooden boats!
Also, drug traffickers. Typically, the U.S. would stop and search the boat to find out which, but this time, the U.S. just blew it up. 2 weeks later, the U.S. blew up another boat, then another, and another, and another. Donald Trump claimed that dozens of people killed by these strikes worked for drug cartels, and that this was just the start of his new strategy to stop them.
Every terrorist thug smuggling poisonous drugs into the United States of America, please be warned that we will blow you out of existence. We have no choice.
But most of Trump's strikes were in the wrong place. Most drugs are produced in Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, and Mexico, then trafficked overland or through the Pacific. Then in October, we found out the real target.
Trump is ramping up his military campaign in the Caribbean.
Made it clear he wants Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro removed from power.
Trump ordered the Navy's largest and most advanced aircraft carrier to the region.
Authorized the CIA to operate inside Venezuela.
And warned Venezuela and its cartels that striking land is next.
How did Trump turn a war on drug cartels into a potential war with Venezuela?
This is not stretching the envelope. This is tearing the envelope apart.
Where could he take that war next?
It seems like a recipe for a war that could go on forever.
Oh man, we do love ourselves a forever war.
Trump's right about one thing. The cartels are stronger than ever. The first modern drug cartel was formed in the 1970s by a Colombian named Pablo Escobar. He smuggled cocaine through the Caribbean and made millions of dollars. Then he united several gangs into one organization and made billions. By the 1980s, the Medellin cartel was making 80% of the cocaine trafficked into the U.S., and its private army wreaked havoc across Colombia.
This is the most violent of cities. There's a killing here every 3 hours, some committed by these motorcycle gangs who work on retainers for the cartel.
The Medellin cartel was too powerful for the Colombian government to take on alone, so the U.S. helped by sending its law enforcement agencies and its military.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
Richard Nixon was the first president to declare a war on drugs, but Ronald Reagan supercharged the military's role in it. He sent so-called military advisors and weapons to Colombia and ordered the Navy to shut down trafficking routes. But the war on drugs wasn't an actual war, and the Medellin cartel wasn't an invading force that the military could shoot without warning. It was a group of criminals, so while the military could help find cartel members, law enforcement arrested and prosecuted them. That's how the U.S. helped dismantle the Medellin cartel, and eventually find Escobar, who died in a shootout. But the war on drugs continued, and presidents kept involving the military in it. George H.W. Bush invaded Panama, partly by citing Panama's leader's indictment for drug trafficking.
Weird how the U.S. has a long history of, just
and under George W. Bush,
intervening
the military shared
with
intelligence
South
with
America.
Mexico. This strategy didn't win the war on drugs, but it made a difference.
Had the U.S. never focused on this issue, you can only imagine these groups could be even more powerful, right?
Will Freeman is an expert on organized crime in Latin America.
But has this stopped drug flows or radically decreased them into the United States? No, it has not.
Overdose deaths from cocaine and heroin increased over the last 25 years, and deaths from fentanyl skyrocketed.
That's kind of weird that heroin deaths went up right around, after we invaded Afghanistan. And also Afghanistan had the most opium production while we were there, at record levels, like levels that nobody's ever seen before.
80,000 in 2023. This demand kept the cartels in business. After the Medellin cartel, the Cali cartel took over. Then Colombians started trafficking through Mexican criminal groups who evolved into even deadlier.
Also, we like to keep a place destabilized. Don't want anybody to win too much. We're kind of centrists. We don't choose one side or the other. We choose both sides. One side we give drugs and guns to, and the other side we'll also give them the same stuff. Yeah.
Your cartels.
Just one's coming from the Pentagon, the other one's coming from the CIA.
The Mexico cracked down on them, they just fractured into more cartels. Today, these cartels are partnering with criminal groups in Europe and Asia to traffic drugs around the world and make tens of billions of dollars a year. More than enough money to corrupt officials, innovate new ways to evade detection, and diversify into other crimes like human trafficking and wildlife poaching.
These are really formidable organizations. And as long as there's that demand and as long as there's robust supply, then fundamentally I think you're going to be talking about putting a lid on a situation, but not eliminating it altogether.
But Donald Trump came into office with a new plan to fight the cartels. It didn't involve curbing demand or law enforcement.
The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels.
I wonder if he's mad at the drug cartels because of Don Jr. Because that dude's just jacked up every time he comes on camera. It doesn't matter what camera it is. That dude's blown out of his mind.
Is striking boats in the Caribbean and in the Pacific, and he recently
Maybe he's
authorized
doing
the
it for
CIA to
Junior.
work inside Venezuela. Now, what interests me about this story is how different outlets are covering it. This level of insight is only possible thanks to our sponsor this week, Ground News.
I knew it was a
Ground News is
commercial.
the only website and app that doesn't just
Son of a
track
bitch.
global news events, it dissects them. It gathers stories. Back to the story. Trump began by focusing on 8 criminal groups, mostly cartels in Mexico, plus Tren de Aragua, a gang started in a Venezuelan prison, and Cartel de los Soles, a criminal network in the Venezuelan military. Trump designated them as either foreign terrorist organizations or specially designated global terrorist groups. labels the U.S. used before.
They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them.
But these labels didn't have anything to do with the military.
The FTO, like designating somebody as an FTO just means that they can't, like, we can't give them aid. It doesn't mean that they're like on Santa's naughty list or some shit. Like that the whole world's gonna destroy them and blow them up or something. Like it's just like financial repercussions and like embargo type of things. It's not. People don't know what the fuck any of this stuff means, man. That's the problem.
Broaden U.S. law enforcement's abilities to prosecute and sanction the cartels and people linked to them.
So whether that is a business which launders money or goes into business with a cartel, to an immigrant who may be forced to pay a ransom fee, it allows to cast that very, very wide net.
But then Trump sent a Navy fleet to the Caribbean and authorized it to strike a boat suspected of running drugs for Tren de Aragua. He then wrote to Congress that the people killed were...
What's this?
I'm about to say a series of facts that might not have anything to do with each other, but they're just interesting. Donald Trump is not the first builder president. Jimmy Carter literally built houses for people for free. And people still live in them today.
Oh, something for later? Okay, yeah, we'll check that out in a minute. All right, back to the drug cartels.
For unlawful combatants in an armed conflict, and that the strikes were in self-defense. In other words, because drugs are killing Americans, and those drugs are trafficked in by cartels, Trump wanted to view the cartels as combatants in a war and use military force against them. Trump wanted to turn the war on drugs into an actual legal war. But can he do that? Under the Constitution, only Congress can declare war, which it didn't.
Need
Nor did
Congress's
Congress pass
approval.
what's called an authorization of military force. If anything, Trump seems to be claiming his power under the Constitution's Article 2, which names him the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. It's how Obama, Trump in his first term, and Biden justified some military operations.
What? What? No. What? Oh. Oh. Yeah, all presidents
It's
are
an
war
already
criminals.
dubious legal argument that Trump is stretching even further, because who the military kills matters too. These
Man, what
strikes
happened in
targeted members
Libya?
of-
We don't know. Nobody talks about Libya, okay?
Enemy governments, military,
Don't worry about
and
that.
rebel groups.
The Bermuda
is
Triangle of
killing
war criminals.
There are so many problems with that.
Jeffrey Korn is a law professor and retired military lawyer.
Most fundamentally, it's not their goal to kill Americans.
The U.S. considers Al-Qaeda and ISIS to be enemy combatants because they launched attacks to kill Americans, and because they commanded their members to do it.
Think of Farouk Abdab-Muttalib, the underwear bomber. He boarded a plane in London and tried to blow it up because he was obeying orders from Al-Qaeda leadership.
The question now is whether Tren de Aragua, commanding people to traffic lethal drugs to the U.S., makes them combatants too.
This is not an evolution of that concept. If you're selling drugs, you want your customer to live, not die.
Trump also hasn't released any evidence that these people were working for Tren de Aragua. This drug reportedly killed a fisherman.
That's the other thing is like they've blown up boats and people have survived the attack. Yet I haven't seen any proof or evidence that all of these people are, involved in drug trafficking and like are drug traffickers themselves.
Killing people, and we don't know who they are.
Exactly.
But the truth is, unless and until Congress were
This
to
is
contest,
some like IDF type of shit where you're just like, oh, we'll just bomb the whole area and people will be blown to smithereens and they can't say anything.
this claim
No,
of
we'll
war
just say they were
power,
terrorists.
The president is going to run with it.
And Congress isn't contesting it. When a measure came up to bar Trump from striking more boats, Republicans blocked it. So even though Congress hasn't authorized Trump's
The Greater
actions,
USA
they've also
movement,
decided
the
not
Greater
to
USA
stop them.
movement
In
has
October,
always included all of South America since the Monroe Doctrine.
Trump deployed more warships, fighter jets, drones, a submarine, and some 10,000 troops to the region, and authorized the military to strike more boats. But then Trump went a step even further by claiming that Tren de Aragua is controlled by Venezuela's dictator, Nicolas Maduro.
Of course.
U.S. spy agencies assess that while Maduro may tolerate the gang, he does not control it. But by linking him to Tren de Aragua, Trump is claiming
Hey, as long as they say it in the news, right? That's all anybody cares about.
When a country is unable or unwilling to prevent its territory from being used by non-state enemies, then we assert the right to act. That's how we went into Pakistan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's how we went into Pakistan and killed bin Laden. That's how that was our legitimacy for invading Afghanistan and Iraq. Completely destabilizing Iraq for decades to come. Probably a century at least. I'm for the greater North America, but my version, it'd be so woke. The WMDs. Yeah, I mean, well, if you're harboring WMDs, then we have to invade.
Kill Osama bin Laden. That could very quickly escalate into a conflict with Venezuela.
But why would Trump want to do that?
Un destructor mande sus soldados expertos en misiles a asaltar barcos atuneros.
I'm speaking foreign language. Thanks, YouTube.
Estaban buscando un incidente militar.
Venezuela has suffered under Maduro. Right after he took power, the country's economy...
Meanwhile, if I just put on auto-translate, it won't do that. But whatever. Dumbass. Stupid-ass YouTube. Yeah.
Fell apart. Crime increased and millions fled every year, but Maduro remains in power. He survives by stealing elections and corrupting the military and elites for their loyalty. All reasons why Trump may want Maduro gone, but not the only reasons. Trump also blames Maduro for the thousands of Venezuelan migrants in the U.S. and may be pressuring Maduro into letting him send some back. Many suggest that Trump may also want access to Venezuela's huge reserves of oil.
Yeah.
But when Maduro offered the U.S. a dominant stake in Venezuela's oil to avoid conflict, Trump refused it, which could mean Trump has a more personal reason to remove Maduro.
I'm pretty sure, didn't Biden get oil? Venezuela sells oil to USA. Biden. Yes, U.S. imports Venezuelan oil under the Biden administration, which granted Chevron a license to resume exports in late 2022. I thought so. I thought we made a deal here. We don't want just some of the oil, though. We want it all and for free. Not good enough.
In 2019, Trump backed a coup in Venezuela that failed.
It was embarrassing for him in the end. Not only was Maduro not ousted from power in the end, the generals and others in his administration rallied behind him. I think Trump wants to win this one.
Trump may also be listening to the people around him, especially the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
Who must appease the shareholders,
for instance,
yes.
For him, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, the three remaining autocracies in Latin America.
Well, I mean, if you've listened to Trump talk about this, he said exactly why we need to go in there. We need to secure oil and rare earth minerals for generations to come for the United States.
He can oust Maduro. I think he believes.
I'm assuming the rare earth minerals that they were supposed to find in Ukraine didn't materialize.
That Cuba will fall next.
Trump is sending an aircraft carrier to the region, and reports say he might order missile strikes in the coming weeks. But anything short of a land invasion isn't likely to topple Maduro.
This is a regime that fully controls its own military at the highest levels, has very sophisticated systems of espionage and control within that military, and I don't see him being willing to sacrifice U.S. lives, especially as a president who campaigned on an end to forever wars.
Yo, what was that?
The war on terror started after 9/11, when
War on
Congress
terror.
authorized President Bush to use force against basically anyone he could link to Al-Qaeda. Later presidents used these broad limits to justify fighting in dozens of countries for 2 decades. It left the U.S. exhausted and, by some estimates, killed 4 million people, something Donald Trump promised not to repeat.
We spent $9 trillion bombing the hell out of the Middle East. And what the hell did we get other than lots of dead people, including our people? Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruption, no wars. My rhetoric is going to keep us out of wars.
But Trump's war on the cartels has even fewer limits than the war on terror. He doesn't have permission from Congress, nor is he even seeking it.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country.
Trump is also claiming the power to kill suspected criminals. That's a much larger group than suspected terrorists linked to Al-Qaeda. Mexican cartels are responsible for most of the drugs trafficked into the U.S., and Trump considered striking them before.
The president pulls me aside on at least a couple.
Also, the Biden administration was doing, Reaper drone flyovers for Mexico already, which the Trump administration continued. And then that information was leaked, which is how we know now that the Biden administration was also doing it. But yeah, next Trump wants to do, drone strikes, kind of like the IDF does on Gaza and Lebanon.
Occasions and suggests that maybe we have the U.S. military shoot missiles into Mexico.
For what?
He would say to go after the cartels.
But the authority Trump is claiming could also include the power to
sovereignty be damned.
Groups those cartels work with, or any group Trump deems as putting the U.S. in danger. The problem is Trump is claiming the power to go to war against anyone, anywhere, forever.
What could be more of a forever war than going after a set of nameless, faceless cartels until they stop waging war on Americans, which I think we all know is, in some volume or other, never going to stop.
And if
it
Trump
works
can
so
declare
well
war
with
on
ISIS.
Criminals, what's stopping other countries from doing it too?
Do we really want other governments to be able to say, well, I've got a criminal problem, so now I'm just going to call it an armed conflict and unleash combat power like I'm in a war? There's a human consequence for that.
Congress is supposed to place limits on the president's power to declare war. Trump is showing what can happen when it doesn't. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to Search Party yet, now's your chance to. I want to quickly talk to you about New Press. That's the organization that Johnny, myself, Christoph are building. It's a community-driven journalist project, which means we want to
Get out of here. So illegitimate war. They're trying to conflate the drug cartels with terrorism and the war on terror. So trying to combine the war on drugs from the 90s with the war on terror from the 2000s and make it all into one. And then that way, we can just bomb whoever we want, basically, which we already do anyway, obviously. Just a rogue state out there, blowing things up. But it's kind of funny that, he says that, we blew up a boat and then previously we would have arrested them. We have an entire Navy. You're telling me we can't stop one boat that's made out of wood with, a couple of engines on them? Pretty sure we can. I'm pretty sure if we wanted to stop these guys, we could just literally stop them. They need to make more migrant caravans to boost Fox News ratings. And that's really what it's about, right? It's about getting the public's approval. Everything that the Trump administration does, that they put up on TV, and they're like, oh, yeah, these are the bad guys that we told you about. It's all about getting the public's approval, because if you manufacture that consent, you're able to, in the eye of the public, in the mind of the public, get their approval and say, oh yes, of course, those are the bad guys that you told me about. Please blow them up before they put drugs on my street. That's what this is about. It's the same thing with like ICE. They're like, oh well, our federal officers are being assaulted when that's not even happening at all. And then you have the news go and show this one time where somebody made officers made them twist their own ankle or something, right? Fell over like Peter Griffin. And you say, oh, there it is. Of course. Yeah, please incarcerate all the children and deport their parents. It's the media is just as complicit with everything that's going on here as anybody else in the administration. It's our responsibility to call it out and to see it what it is. Anyways, here's something on TikTok. What Larry Ellison doesn't want you to know. The new, basically, owner of TikTok and several other things. The formerly richest man in the world before Elon took back the title.
He thinks there is a single score for all of humanity, and it is wealth
It is a numbered list. He wants to be at the top of that list.
This is America's digital landlord. Briefly, the world's richest man and
digital
the billionaire
landlord
sculptor who's about to control all our TikTok data, Larry Ellison. His company Oracle already provides software to the NSA, probably hosts your health insurance data, and
The
builds
new
body
algorithm
cams
for
and
TikTok
drones.
sucks now.
We're constantly recording and reporting everything
The
that's
new
going on.
algorithm
The
for
police
Threads
will be
sucks,
on
man.
their
It's
best
getting on my
behavior.
nerves.
Citizens will be on their best behavior.
And he's somehow
Almost all
handling
ads
even
and people
more.
trying to sell you
The
stuff.
operations
Exactly.
of
these kind of
That's like all. It's just the enshittification of everything, man. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And like these guys just profit from it like 24/7 because it's like a bullshit ad, and then they're like, okay, here's some mind-numbing stuff to keep you engaged, and then they throw a bullshit ad in on top of it, and they're like, oh, you like that? Your little dumb brain likes that? Here's some more mind-numbing, ASMR or whatever, like how it's made type of bullshit. Here's somebody cutting wood. Oh, your little rat brain like that. Here's some more ads, and then here's some more mind-numbing stuff of like Subway Runner or whatever the fuck. Like it's just like it's such a waste of time. It's so annoying, man. It is so annoying. These guys just thrive off of that. Like if you see social media like in other countries, it's not as enshittified as it is here in the US. It's so bad.
of TikTok new company that would be US based would be a joint venture that would largely be managed by Oracle, which is Larry Ellison's company.
The TikTok deal will add our favorite brain rot app to the
I'm getting AI how ancient Chinese infrastructure weapons were made. Oh my god.
giant blob that already controls most of our media and sets up the dominoes for a full-blown surveillance state.
This whole issue of privacy is utterly fascinating to me. Who's ever heard of this information being misused by the government?
So if he's going to control all our data, I wanted to find out, what does he believe and what does that mean for us?
Some people have compared it to the oil boom.
This is on YouTube?
Larry Ellison is the robber baron of this era, but instead of oil, he's trafficking in data.
When it comes to Ellison's early days, the one thing to know is for someone who would become one of the most successful men in the tech sector, he did a lot more talking than typing. Even before Oracle, he always knew how to pull the strings. As vice president at a company called Precision Instruments in the 70s, he was overseeing the search for another company to come in and help with this struggling data project. And this gave him an idea. He and his former coworkers, Bob and Ed, made a company, put in the lowest offer, and Larry gave his own new company the job. Nice. They eventually named this company Oracle after a CIA project they had previously worked on. And Larry bought in at 60%.
That's nice. He just gave himself the contract. Just a small investment of millions of dollars from his father. Everybody's origin story, right?
But data storage in the 70s was crazy, and people were looking for ways to simplify it. This guy named Ted Codd had published a theory about how to digitally store and retrieve data more efficiently using a new system called the relational database. But it didn't really exist yet, so IBM made a team to create a preliminary version. When they got it working, they published another paper on how. So when the Oracle guys came across this, it was a total score. Ellison's programmers could reassemble it like an IKEA directions manual, and Larry could sell it. And boom, free idea, billion-dollar software.
The database is absolutely the most technically innovative thing that they've done. Everything they have built, they've ultimately built around that.
Oracle had Ellison's talents as a salesman to thank much more than his skill as a programmer. He frequently promised programs to customers and delivered them late, never, or completely different than advertised, and had Bob and Ed pick up the slack. This is Caleb E. Carter,
average salesman, honestly.
Politics and tech.
There are trillions of data points, happening every second. Every time you buy a book on Amazon, that's a data point. Anytime you're interacting with anything online, that information is almost always being stored somewhere. Those companies that make a lot of money off of having that information need to be able to quickly pull it and compile it in a way that makes sense and is profitable.
So is Oracle basically the whole internet? Kinda. Or at least the infrastructure that keeps a lot of the data on the internet flowing. And not just for users like you and me, but for big corporate customers too. Take your bank, for example. They probably have too many customers with too many transactions to keep them in one mega giant Excel sheet, and that's what the relational database is for. The relational database allows them to keep like 1 million spreadsheets at once, so all the bank's customers might be in one table and all your transactions in another. So when I spend $8 on a latte, the POS system tells Oracle to put coffee shop and minus $8 on my transaction table and changes my total money column to 0. But it's not just banks.
Today, their clients include United Healthcare, Citibank, Netflix, Amazon, pretty much every major corporation on the S&P 500. They also make a lot of money now from cloud computing, which is a way for a company like OpenAI that can't afford to buy all the processing power that they need to contract that out to another company, in this case Oracle, to build these massive data centers and house all of these GPUs and process all of that computing remotely.
They are dominant.
Hey, what if we just didn't need AI though? What would happen?
Managed to find their way into just about everywhere.
Over the early 2000s, they started acquiring...
What if we were given this tool of AI and we just didn't use it?
Their software companies, and their business model shifted towards just absorbing all the useful yet kind of boring behind-the-scenes tech that runs the internet. This is Brian Cantrell, an engineer who worked at Sun Microsystems, which got bought by Oracle in 2009.
In 2006, I and another engineer started a group inside of Sun to build a new storage product at Sun. That product was very successful, arguably too successful, because it brought Oracle in as a customer for the first time in a while. And Oracle swept in and bought the company, which absolutely did not see coming.
And through buying up their customers and making it hard to get off their software, they were able to spread like a fungus.
The big reveal for me working inside from the outside of Oracle moving in, I kind of thought this is a great competitor. And actually, it's a company that hates competition and wants to do everything it possibly can to asphyxiate competition.
That sounds very familiar. It sounds like Facebook.
And that's how it's done what it's done. You couldn't go to an airport in the country without seeing Oracle's ad campaigns. Oracle runs 10 of the 10 top banks. That's it.
They've also been a contractor for the government since their inception.
Larry Ellison, his prior occupation at Ampex, they weren't able to finish the project, so they went back to the CIA and continued to work for them under that same codename project, Oracle.
And that's far from their only government contract. The US government is one of their best customers. Soon after their CIA reprise, they got a contract with the Air Force as well.
They have huge contracts with the Department of Defense, and they have an active contract with the CIA, as well as other agencies also for data management and software. They create the plumbing for all of these data points to travel through.
So they own data centers, host and manage huge databases for companies and the government, and even own software that other programs are written on. That's a lot. But let's also zoom out for a second to just how the economy of the internet works in general these days.
Oracle is very much a proprietary software company. When you get the Oracle database, you have a license for Oracle. You don't buy software. You get a license for software. It's a software landlord, which allows you to raise the rent.
Think about how annoying it is to switch from Spotify to Apple Music. If you're the government, we're talking about giant databases of things like everyone's tax information ever, where switching programs is really hard and expensive, and there are very few options anyway.
Which has led to some people saying that Oracle doesn't have customers and has hostages. Oracle especially will give away their products for free or for heavily discounted, and as soon as we get a foot in the door, prices are going up, we can sell our products, and the government will in turn become reliant on Oracle software because it's very difficult to migrate that over to another system.
Basically, their carnivorous and litigious nature plus the rent-based economy of software allow them to corner the market and become the only option to corporations and the government. Back to my favorite Obi-Wan Kenobi impersonator for a second. What's his vibe?
He acquired the 6th largest island in Hawaii. He spent nearly $1 billion on a sailing racing team, or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property around the world.
Just so he could hold up a trophy.
He's been married and divorced many times. He's gotten quite a bit of plastic surgery done to maintain, his perpetual, I guess, youthful look. Today, he's still the second richest person in the world.
He's been a billionaire since 1993. Doesn't he do like philanthropy or something?
So I went looking for his philanthropic work and struggled to find much. What you found was a medical foundation that he donated a lot of money to. The purpose of that medical foundation was to promote longevity.
Oh, yeah.
Very clearly his.
And remember how he got his start working with the CIA? It seems to have rubbed off on him, and he's like super into surveillance. Here's what he had to say after Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the NSA's mass surveillance program.
The great thing is we live in a democracy. If we don't like what NSA is doing, we can just get rid of the government and put in a different government.
No. But clearly, you're saying whatever the NSA is doing is okay with me.
It's great. It's great. It's essential.
Oracle even makes discount body cams for cops.
We completely redesigned body cameras, and the camera's always on. You don't turn it on and off. The truth is, we don't really turn it off.
And really, this guy will take any opportunity he can to get more surveillance data and therefore more money.
We think we can absolutely lock down schools. The second someone pulls out a gun,
lock
immediately
down schools.
Use AI cameras to immediately recognize that.
So his solution to
yeah,
school
just like the AI camera that recognized the kid that had a Doritos bag in his pocket and said it was a gun.
Prevented at all, and instead we constantly surveil school children using resource-intensive AI that coincidentally happens to make him a bunch of money. This is not only not a solution to the problem, it adds additional harms that the rest of us have to deal with. The cops have already pulled a gun on a student because AI thought his bag of Doritos was a gun.
There
but
it
back
is.
to the TikTok deal for a second. Remember
The
way
best
back when
part
whole
is
thing
he
was
gets
about,
richer
what
off
if
of it all,
China's
yeah.
in our Wi-Fi?
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Is TikTok under the influence of the Chinese Communist Party? Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
And it wasn't just China that politicians were worried about.
If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so.
Over the 4 years that the TikTok ban was definitely going to happen and then probably not going to happen and then definitely happening again, TikTok started taking precautions.
So they, came to Oracle and said, how about we host our user data for, US users on Oracle servers in Texas?
So if the data's already here, what is this all about? Ellison's personal views matter here. It's not just Oracle's massive data business that landed them American TikTok. Going back to those congressional hearings, the push to ban or force a sale of TikTok was always rooted in ideology. So what's Ellison's ideology behind being so pro-surveillance? While he's flip-flopped and funded both parties in the US, perhaps his most firmly held political belief is his support for the state of Israel.
I have been to Israel. I have spent time with the people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
He's given the organization Friends of the IDF over $26 million. And according to leaked emails, he literally made Marco Rubio run his speeches by him to make sure they were sufficiently pro-Israel before giving $5 million to his 2016 presidential run.
Oh, that was in 2015. Yeah, Marco Rubio. We could have had President Rubio this whole time. Instead, we got Trump. Thanks, Hillary.
Is now Secretary of State and central in negotiating the ceasefire. Larry's also given $350 million to the Tony Blair Institute. That's more than 10 times what he gave to the Friends of the IDF. TBI is a think tank and consultancy that, surprise, likes to recruit from McKinsey.
I think their stated goal is advancing neoliberalism.
TBI is deeply entwined with Oracle. Some of the same people sit on both boards, like the organization's shared non-executive director and Blair's key advisor. Former staff have even said that there were hush-hush joint retreats at Ellison properties in the US.
Tony Blair Institute, in turn, has sort of become a sales company for Oracle. They have all of these connections with governments in Rwanda and Indonesia and other global South countries. They're essentially consulting, offering, altruistic solutions, and then offering Oracle as the remedy for their problems. And then those countries are then locked into what are essentially predatory contracts with Oracle.
Coincidentally, TBI is also notably pro-AI and surveillance. There's even a page on their website that reads like an ad for the UK's digital ID program, which would give the government a ton of info about citizens' health, finances, and more. They want to centralize all government data on citizens into a single library. And the current ceasefire deal was heavily influenced by the
It
Tony
seems
Blair
like a lot of
Institute.
countries that get
I would say it's very
destabilized.
much
Yeah.
in jeopardy.
Kind of
Tony
weird.
Blair himself has been approved as taking a leadership role. Their idea would be a digital ID system, total digital surveillance.
As reported by the Israeli outlet N12, the Jerusalem Times, and Canary Media, Blair and Jared Kushner's plan is for Gaza City to become a tax-free city of startups with server farms for cloud computing and AI and a Tesla factory employing cheap local labor. So for billionaires like Ellison, money and power create a positive feedback loop. Make money, buy power, change the rules so you can make more money, rinse and repeat. It's bigger than just beliefs. Right now he's using that money
And then
and
live
power
forever
and
also.
exploiting an
Don't forget that
internationally
part.
recognized genocide to build himself a tax haven in a war zone. But what does that have to do with TikTok? Well, it has to do with this, and how Larry's increasing control over the information that passes through our feeds and into our brains is being shaped by one man's personal views and political goals. So while the details are still murky, here's what we know about the deal. ByteDance will sell 80% of its US operations to a group of investors that includes Oracle, along with investment firms Silver Lake, Andreessen Horowitz, and a BlackRock partner, MGX. And according to Trump, it's likely one or two Ellisons,
That hits
Murdoch
deep,
Virtue,
yeah.
Michael Dell, and possibly Barron will be given TikTok board seats.
It would break off TikTok's US operations and allow a consortium of US investors to control the app within the US. And along with that, Oracle would control its algorithm and its data and user security side of everything. They would pretty much be given the whole system.
There's also language to suggest the government may have free reign with our TikTok data. The deal definitely leaves some privacy wiggle room by saying trusted security partners may also share information with other United States government officials.
That's nice.
And on top of all this, David Ellison, Larry's son, just appointed himself the CEO of Paramount Skydance, which owns CBS and is
What
trying
if,
to
like, the more woke you are, like, the more they try to subdue you with, like, AI generated, mind-numbing videos, time wasters and attention grabbers. This guy's he's over here looking at more perfect union all the time. Let's hit him with the subway surfer.
by Warner Brothers, which owns CNN. Combining the CBS and CNN audiences under the same control would give the Ellisons access to about 3.2 million TV viewers and over 350 monthly online visits. And this all leads us to a few main issues here. One, these two deals would give the Ellisons access to huge swaths of the American audience and add TikTok to the growing list of media outlets controlled by the tiny club of big tech guys and billionaires who hang out with and donate money to Trump. They've already installed a strong ideological ally, Barry Weiss, as the head of CBS. It's pretty blatant crony capitalism, which is where a super powerful politician just hands out business deals to his rich buddies. Two, while I can't say what they will do or know the truth in Larry's heart, they are building the framework for a massively profitable surveillance state at home and abroad, and setting all that up is a lot harder than pushing the button. And three, because Oracle already provides the infrastructure
Maybe
for
Oracle
a lot
will
of
come to
government
me.
departments and private enterprises, adding TikTok and government surveillance data to the stuff we rent space for on his servers is really just following suit. But combining it all under one digital umbrella makes Larry Ellison America's digital landlord. It locks the government into rental agreements forever and gains Oracle more access to a guaranteed source of money, taxpayer dollars.
Everything that we have ultimately is due to technological innovation.
That's the infinite money glitch.
Technological innovation is so core to the human experience. I mean, that is our human creativity. Oracle is not interested in attacking into those larger themes of humans wielding tools to go to better themselves. It's like just not interested. It's like just pure monetization.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and send us your story ideas at stories.perfectunion.us.
Why get $1 billion when you could just get funded by the by the taxpayers and get access to like the World Bank basically? Who's gonna stop you? Certainly not gonna be the Trump administration. Touched on a few things. Let's see what the listening post is talking about today. Israel outrage over leaked soldier abuse
where
video.
War crimes committed against Palestinians are considered a PR problem. We dig into what happened at that Israeli prison, the leaking of the video, and the spin doctors now working overtime in Tel Aviv. Sudan, where journalism and accountability are among the many casualties in northern Darfur. And what's in a nickname? In Kenya, where the political space is full of them, the answer is a lot.
The fact this is making the news again is still bad. Well, the reason it's making the news is just insane. It's not that, the crime happened. It's that, they found out the person that leaked the video. And that's the bad thing, actually.
The Israeli government is dealing with what it calls a public relations disaster, a case that, according to any legal system, is a clear-cut war crime. First, a warning to our viewers. This is a story about rape. At the heart of it is a leaked video showing Israeli soldiers in the process of torturing and sexually assaulting a Palestinian prisoner. The video is sickening to watch, even though the Israelis use their shields to hide what they are doing. And the resulting uproar in Israel has not been about the abuse. It's been about the exposure and the woman who leaked the footage, the Israeli military's chief prosecutor, who is now being branded as a traitor. She's been arrested, while the accused soldiers have been cast as some kind of victims. Dig a little deeper into this story, and it reveals so much about Israel's PR playbook when it comes to war crimes and cover-ups.
And you notice the news isn't really talking about Israel right now.
Of reckoning turn into battles over optics. And it provides yet another glimpse into an Israeli society that is unwilling or incapable of coming to terms with what it has become. To hear the Israeli Prime Minister tell it, this particular story could prove to do unprecedented damage to Israel's global reputation.
זה אולי הפיגוע הסברתי הקשה ביותר שמדינת ישראל חוותה מאז הקמתה, אני לא זוכר.
Was Benjamin Netanyahu referring to the indictment issued against him by the International Criminal Court for his alleged war crimes?
There are other people, like the prosecutor in The Hague, that seeks to handcuff us.
Was he talking about his security minister, taunting Palestinian prisoners last week, celebrating their abuse, predicting that death awaits them?
יש עוד משהו שחייבים לעשות, עונש מוות למחבלים.
Or was he citing these images from Gaza, filmed by Israeli soldiers, documenting and savoring on social media a genocide? It was none of the above. Netanyahu was talking about this video, showing Israeli soldiers hiding behind the cover of their shields, brutalizing a Palestinian prisoner, raping him, and the fact that the video was released to the world by an Israeli.
You can clearly see that they're doing something to this person. There are obviously charges brought against them for really horrifying violence, but you can't actually see any of that on the video. What you can see is a bunch of people covering up something that looks very, very violent.
Israel always tries to position itself as the civilized vis-a-vis the uncivilized. And so for them, rape is considered as the sort of ultimate act of barbarity. That's why the Israeli public and Netanyahu are so upset with the leaking of that footage, because it positions them in a place of barbarity. Because there is still in Israeli society this idea that the Israeli army is beyond barbarism, that they maintain this moral standard.
There have been two stages to this story. Stage one took place more than a year ago, with the release of this video from an Israeli prison, State Teman, in August of 2024. It was leaked anonymously to an Israeli news network, Channel 12.
Here they are in the corner, probably aware of the security cameras and trying to hide their actions using shields.
Right-wing Israelis, including politicians, then showed up at the prison and broke in, demanding that no soldiers be prosecuted regardless of what the video
did their own J6.
It took 6 months, but the soldiers were eventually charged, although not for rape, for, quote, aggravated abuse. At the time, no one knew that the leaker of the prison video was Yifat Tomer Yerushalmi, the top lawyer at the Israeli military, the same official who later brought the charges. Stage 2 began 10 days ago, when Tomer Yerushalmi revealed she was the source of the leak and then resigned. A few days later, she went missing, was reported to be on the run, then turned up and was arrested under charges including breach of trust and disclosure of official information. Do not mistake Yifat Tomer Yerushalmi for your typical whistleblower. Before exposing what happened at State Teman, she had played a big part in covering up Israeli war crimes in Gaza by blocking the prosecutions of the
There's so many war
and
crimes.
soldiers
Like, how do you... Can you remember them all?
But since you're asking me, she was a willing part of Israel's genocidal machine in Gaza. She actively prevented any kind of serious investigation into Israel's crimes from being opened, even though there was evidence galore. Why did she decide to leak this video? I think because
was
she
it one step too far?
Outraged at the moral indignity, as much as because this was turning into a political scandal that would end up at her doorstep.
And it's also possible that she understands, as a very experienced lawyer, that Israel is increasingly accused of war crimes, and there is an open case against it in The Hague and the ICC, and that if she didn't do this, that she could be tried as well for being a part of covering up the crimes that the IDF has committed.
We see this at the heart of everything Israel does, that belief that it should be allowed to conduct military operations in whatever fashion it likes, to build settlements, to demolish homes, to bomb entire neighborhoods, to bomb other countries, that there should be no accountability. And this is the situation in which the former Israeli military advocate general finds herself in. It is a witch hunt. They are after her. There are people who talk about lynching. One wonders, you know, if her life is still under threat even now.
Of all the deranged reactions this story has produced in Israel, it would be tough to top this one. From its Minister of Defense, Israel Katz. Katz called it a case of blood libel, referring to the age-old anti-Semitic tropes used to accuse Jews of killing for pleasure. Even though the video was shot in an Israeli prison, on an Israeli camera, was leaked by an Israeli prosecutor to an Israeli journalist working for Israel's Channel 12, Guy Peleg, who then informed the Israeli public.
פרשת שדה תימן אינה פרשה של עלילה. איש לא העליל, הכל בכתב אישום שאנחנו נקריא את סעיפיו.
Channel 12 now says that because of the blowback, it has had to hire security protection for its reporter. And Peleg has come under fire on his own channel for doing something that not nearly enough Israeli journalists have done since October 7th, 2023, his job.
This kind of shows the difference between a real journalist, which is rare in Israel, and then two of the people who were kind of attacking him. One of them is a reporter, and they basically were just upset that he was reminding people that this isn't some kind of made-up story.
אנחנו מדברים עכשיו על מדינת ישראל, על חיילי צה"ל, וזה כאילו לשדר את הסרטון מחדש. מה זה טוב? זה הכל.
אם זה היה תלוי בי, היינו משדרים את הסרטון משום שהוא לב החקירה.
That if it was up to me, we would broadcast the video again as it is at the core of the investigation.
And basically, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to see it. So this is
they don't want to bring it up again because they don't want this to be in the news worldwide.
Clip, this classified footage. One wonders if one was allowed to look at all the CCTV footage in all these detention centers holding Palestinians, just what we would find out. We've only just seen one piece of footage. But if you had access to all the footage of the last few years, and indeed prior to the 7th of October 2023, what would we discover? Because the allegations of torture, abuse, sexual abuse have been going around for years.
Not that the coverage in the international media has come close to reflect.
Not at all.
Mainstream Western outlets that routinely speak truth to power domestically continue to treat a genocidal Israeli state with kid gloves editorially. When the Israeli captives were freed by Hamas, those outlets feasted on that story, describing them as hostages. The Palestinians released by Israel, who are typically labeled as prisoners, attracted relatively little coverage.
Today's return of the last living Gaza hostages has also triggered the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees.
But the culprits in the State Teman sexual assault case know that the relative impunity they get from international journalists
if they're
may not extend to
if they're innocent, you know, why are you covering up your face?
the international justice system, which is why when they showed up in front of the cameras this past week, flanked by their lawyers, 4 of those 5 soldiers wore masks, hid their faces.
They're concealing their identity because it's become very rare for Israeli soldiers to conceal their identity, the West Bank and in Gaza as well. They know that the world accuses them rightfully of war crimes, and they conceal their identity to show the world 2 things. First, you won't outsmart us, and second,
there's another group of armed militants running around this place, kind of doing the same thing.
Don't care. You go ahead and accuse us as much as you want. We'll do the smart thing and conceal our identity so you won't be able to convict us.
The prime instigator of this assault has been going around on Israeli TV, on social media, giving interviews.
אתם שיקרתם לעם ישראל, הכפשתם ואתם תשלמו על זה.
That really summarizes how much Israeli society will stand behind an army that has committed genocide in Gaza.
מנסים להציג אותנו, את הלוחמים,
They're trying to present us, the fighters, as barbaric like Hamas terrorist fighters.
And the fact that the Israeli public is much more outraged that this footage was leaked rather than what was happening in that footage. And that tells us everything we need to know about Israeli society.
I don't like to compare the treatment or the suffering, but there's Israeli hostages that were released a few weeks ago from Gaza, and they're already singing and dancing on TV. And I'm not sure that somebody who has gone through abuse in an Israeli prison is able to recover as quickly.
After a punishing siege that lasted 18 months, the Sudanese city of El Fasher fell to the rebel militia, the RSF, at the end of last month. What came next was pretty much what anyone following this conflict had been dreading: mass atrocities under a near total media blackout. And the few sources of information we do have are painting a grim picture. Ryan Coles is here with more on that.
El Fasher, the capital of North Darfur in Western Sudan, was, until it fell nearly 2 weeks ago, the last stronghold in the region of the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF. Since its fall, RSF fighters have posted videos of themselves rounding up and executing civilians. They have also targeted the handful of journalists who stayed in the city to document the siege. This video shows journalist Muammar Ibrahim, who worked for Al Jazeera Mubashir, shortly after RSF fighters captured him. There's been no proof of life since then, and his feed on X has gone silent. With journalists either killed, captured, or forced to flee, news organizations are relying on satellite imagery, eyes in the sky, to understand what's happening on the ground. These images show the scale of the violence: mass graves, burned out neighborhoods, even bloodstains visible from space. The Humanitarian Research Lab at Yale's University School of Public Health is leading much of this documentation. It has identified sites of mass killing and body disposal, warning that the emerging pattern of violence may rise to the level of genocide. The Sudan Doctors Network says that in the 3 days following Al Fasher's fall, at least 1,500 civilians were killed, one of the deadliest periods since the war began in 2023. With the RSF now in control of every major city in Darfur, the prospect of Sudan's eventual partition grows ever more real. And with the number of journalists dwindling by the day, the question becomes who will be left to report what happens next.
Thanks, Ryan. Turning to Kenya now, and the subtle but often cutting art of the nickname. Nicknames are a form of political satire, usually boiled down to a word or two. They're used all around Africa, but no one bounces them off politicians the way Kenyans do. Just ask the president, William Ruto, otherwise known as Zakayo or El Chapo, with many other...
Are we still paying Kenya $250 million to go invade Haiti for us?
Nicknames. Since taking office in 2022, then walking back his
still
campaign
happening?
promises to raise living standards and support small businesses, Ruto's reputation has taken a hit. Kenyan journalists do have some freedom to hold power to account, but they cannot go as far as satirists can with quality nicknames that are used to critique, question, and mock Ruto's leadership. Most of them are devised by younger Kenyans online, individuals who are more difficult to censor and whose messaging tends to stick. The Listening Post's Nick Muirhead now on William Ruto, the Kenyan president, with a long, growing, and politically problematic list of nicknames.
William Ruto isn't the first Kenyan president to be given a nickname, but he has certainly racked up the most. And if that sounds like a sign of popularity, that every nickname is a mark of affection, think again. More often than not, it's how Kenyans take potshots at their president.
This man started off getting names when he was deputy president. And the most famous name was Arap Mashamba. Arap is son of, and Mashamba is land. Son of land, not really son of land as such, but somebody who grabs land.
Zakayo is a figure in the Bible who was a tax collector. Zakayo is a nickname that was given to Ruto in relation to the first moves that he made when he became president was to increase taxes.
El Chapo, it was the time that he was promising to provide chapatis, which is a form of bread for Kenyan school children.
El Chapo bread.
William Ruto has spent more than 3 decades climbing Kenya's political ladder. For years, he sold himself as the hustler, a savvy outsider who could shake up the system.
Why do you call yourself the hustler? Because I am. I am the hustler in chief.
Since taking office in 2022, Ruto's government has raised taxes, borrowed heavily, and presided over a deepening cost of living crisis. It left Kenyans feeling hustled and earned Ruto the nickname Kusongo, borrowed from the 1980s song about a man who abandons his family.
The speed at which the nicknames are coming is reflective of the speed at which
sounds
politics
like not
is
a good
transforming
nickname.
in the country. The presidency makes a decision and the public responds by calling them out, by calling him out, but they're not able to do it directly. They have to find a way of doing that that is humorous, that can sort of stay ahead of the anger and the
They put all the bread on him.
I've used nicknames throughout my career as a cartoonist to kind of protect myself from accusations of libel or public slander. In the recent past, I've also kind of intensified my use of just adopting what the public is offering. Remember, you cannot protest every day. So society will still keep up the heat. And the only way they can do so is through labeling him with names.
Humor is usually a product of absurdity when there's a clash or a contradiction between what is real and what somebody is talking about. So that contradiction is what is captured by the nicknames. It's a reaction to lack of trust and just being fatigued by how much the president is telling us he's going to do this, he's going to do the other, and then it's not done.
The use of humor to challenge power isn't new. It's part of a long tradition, one that galvanized under Daniel Arap Moi, considered by many to be Kenya's last dictator. He ruled under the slogan Nyayo, footsteps, a promise to follow in the path of his predecessor Jomo Kenyatta, the country's first leader post-independence. But as Moi's rule grew more authoritarian, Nyayo turned into a nickname with a meaning closer to trample than footsteps. Nicknames that pack a punch while giving a measure of protection extend far beyond Kenya's borders. In Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is mockingly called T-Pain, a jab at his painful austerity policies.
Who is suffering in the building? And Capsi cannot suffocate us in the building.
In Uganda, Finance Minister Matia Kasaija is dubbed as Minister of Enjoyment for laughing off the country's economic crisis.
colleagues, money will come.
And in Tanzania, after the recent crackdown following the disputed election, President Samia Suluhu Hassan was nicknamed Idi Amin Mama, a reference to Uganda's infamous dictator Idi Amin. Across the continent, catchy nicknames are cutting inflated egos down to size.
It's important to remember that the figures of the executive in a lot of African countries are building on these long tradition of this quasi-godlike figure who should not be challenged, who should not be undermined. Giving the political figure a nickname is a way of looking directly at the sun, is a way of bringing the sun down to earth, is a way of bringing that powerful executive figure back down to earth.
What is so striking about this particular era is the disconnect between the African leaders and the youth. And the only way to capture that absurdity is through nicknames. And that's what the young people are doing.
Last year, youth anger over new taxes and government excesses grew online until it spilt over onto the streets. The government responded with a brutal crackdown, mass arrests, abductions, and online surveillance. By the end of the year, more than 60 people had been killed. The media were targeted as well. Stations critical of the president were threatened with closure. Protest coverage was banned and reporters threatened. But where the government can squeeze traditional information spaces, online ridicule is harder to reach, and so Ruto earned himself a new wave of nicknames. Kathinji, the Butcher, Must Go, a call for the end of Ruto's presidency, and One Tum, a prediction that Ruto will only serve one term.
The nicknames One Tum and Must Go are different because they are a call to action. It's an invocation.
Can we use those? Can we use those here?
Project of a broader political ambition. Kenyans online are probably one of the most organized and vocal national constituencies, I would say, in the world. This is a digital constituency that has bullied former President Kenyatta II so much on social media that he deleted his social media accounts.
Hata Twitter munaona na hiyo mimi niliondoka huko. Ngaona hii kitu ni bure, ni matusi tu.
What was so striking about the Moi era?
Bro got bullied offline. That's crazy.
There were so few people speaking. But now when you speak on the internet, you have immediate interaction with the public.
Oh, man,
you have people sharing what you're saying. I think it's also the Kenya government as a whole does not know what to do with a well-informed, vocal population with access to the internet.
We requested an interview from the president's office but got no response. Having failed to quash the nicknames, Ruto has since tried to co-opt them. He now dances to Kasongo, the song about the man who abandons his dependents.
It's not a good thing, man.
He laughs off Zakayo, the biblical tax collector.
Na kwanza Zakayo ndio aliona Mungu alimtembelea. Sasa wewe uchakuwa Zakayo utatembelewa na Mungu namna gani?
And he's even trying to flip one tum, one term, into one more tum, one more term. But will it work? Unlikely, because good satire rarely flows down from power. It rises up from the people, from those who turn frustration into laughter and laughter into defiance.
When I was a kid in elementary school, other kids used to call me the big-eyed one. And it really bothered me for a while until I told myself, but anyway, I can't do anything about my eyes. And they became my signature in my work, and I'm recognized for that. So Ruto is using basically the same kind of thing. It's a way to kind of brush off the ridicule, throw some of the ridicule back at you.
One reason why Ruto embraces the nicknames is that he's trying to take power from them. By laughing at the joke, by showing that he's in on the joke, that it doesn't hurt him, trying to reduce the impact of the joke, it almost does the opposite. I think it almost says to the public that we know that you're listening now, that you are actually paying attention to things that we say about them.
The Kenyan elite have become so mediocre, they have nothing that is original. And so what they are doing is copycatting or mimicking the young people. I think there's a hunger and a thirst among young people to understand why we are where we are. It's a thirst that I had not seen in young people. The current generation that is drawing a lot of empowerment and solidarity and creativity from laughter will eventually graduate to political creativity that will result in fundamental change. And that's why that kind of mimicry will not work.
Oh, actually, their mission failed. I didn't even get the news on that. $250 million well spent. Kenya-led anti-gag mission in Haiti ends with mixed results. The forces of multinational security support mission were never able to fully carry out their mandate. Fewer than 1,000 officers out of the 2,500 planned. Most of them Kenyans were actually deployed. 15 months and $250 million. Thanks, Joe Biden. That was a great plan you had there.
And finally, Zoran Mamdani made history in New York this past week. He is now the city.
I love how.
And finally, Zoran Mamdani made history.
Zoran Mamdani. Oh man. Yeah, the auto translate, the auto transcribe captions never fails. Imagine the Kenyans having to deal with the hurricanes. Dude, yeah, I guess they got out of Haiti. It says they got out of Haiti on October 2nd. Yeah, before that massive hurricane hit the area. So yeah, I'm sure they were like, no, we're not going to stick around again.
In New York this past week. He is now the city's mayor-elect, which, depending on your ideological perspective, is either an historic breakthrough or a national crisis. And you can put the New York Post in the latter category.
There you go.
The tabloid, owned by Rupert Murdoch, had been going after Mamdani for months, to no avail. And this was the Post's front page on the day after the election, depicting Mamdani, a Democrat.
Why is the R backwards? I don't understand. Why is the R backwards? On your marks, get ready, get Zoe. Socialist Mamdani wins race for mayor.
Socialist as a Marxist, a communist,
like
wielding a hammer and a sickle. Anyway, here's the best part. Even though that front page was designed to attack Mamdani and rile his supporters, it turns out they're actually loving it. The paper sold out at newsstands, which almost never happens anymore, and copies of it are now going on eBay for as much as $350.
Wow.
The message that the buyers are sending Rupert Murdoch, that despite Mamdani's election victory, capitalism is alive and well in New York. Who'da thunk it?
That's kind of a funny point to end on. All right, yeah, I'm gonna call it there, man. I'm pretty tired actually. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for sticking around. I will see you guys next time. Yeah, I'm sleepy, man. I don't know. I stayed up too late last night.